So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I have been given the responsibility to talk about unconventional career opportunities for the students and teachers of English. Although in my introduction, it was said that this session is more oriented to students of English literature. But at the same time, many of us, even at my age, who have been in the teaching of English in universities and schools, this is something that is important because a lot of paradigm change has been happening. When we listen to the discourse in the university campuses about the career opportunities with certain majors and certain minors, unfortunately, in university system, global university system, there is a hierarchy. And people believe that if you are a student of technology or medical sciences, then you have more career opportunities. And if you are a student of English, then there is no career opportunity. And therefore, even when people ask you, what do you do? And you answer, I study English, they say, that's okay, but what do you do for living? So this is the answer to all those misconceptions about lack of career opportunities for people with English major. So I would start with talking about Thomas Friedman's very famous line that you can dance in a hurricane, but only if you stand in the eye of a hurricane. Very recently in India, and particularly in Gujarat, we had a cyclonic storm, Biparjoy. And when cyclone passes, it creates a lot of destruction. But Thomas Friedman has a different point of view. When he was driving in Minnesota, he heard a song on his car radio, and he liked that song so very much that he pushed his car aside and started writing the lyric that was being played. The line of the lyric was, you can dance in a hurricane, but only if you stand in the eye of a hurricane. Post that, Thomas Friedman wrote a very good book. It is a bestseller. It is titled, Thank You for Being Late. And in this book, he talks about 3 disruptions that are shaking the world. He says that these 3 disruptions start with letter M: Mother Nature, market, and Moore's law. And he says that in no way these disruptions can be stopped. These disruptions are here to stay. I would just focus on Moore's law, because Moore's law predicted that every year moving forward, the capacity and speed of the computer silicon chips would double. Now, Moore had predicted that only for a certain period, but it has not stopped. It is getting more and more enhanced. Interestingly, the previous session by Professor Ramanathan also talked about digital disruptions and facilitations. So Thomas Friedman said that if you stand in the eye of a hurricane, just in middle, knowing how to handle the storm, then you would be able to negotiate the storm and you would be able to survive. Now, many a times when parents and students come to my university seeking career counseling, or even outside the walls of my university, they ask me, where do you see my child 4 years down the line or 5 years down the line? I tell them that I prefer not to look beyond 1 year. Because literally speaking, all of you, including those who are holding on the stable tenured job right now in India and abroad, we are literally preparing for the careers that are still to evolve. Never ever had I thought in 1993, when I started teaching as a teacher of English, I thought, never did I think that I would be talking in online forum like this, because those were the days when we were teaching with chalks on the blackboard. But suddenly the digital disruptions entered our lives. And here today, we are interacting with the facilitation of technology. So there are many, many careers that are still to evolve. So literally speaking, the only thing that we can hold on to is our skills. With the skills that we learn by being the student of English. And I always believe that there's a compliment that is sometimes passed on as sarcastic comment about people in humanities, that they are street smart. I would take it always as a compliment, because being street smart in addition to being educated is something that is required. Many a times we push our concerns of digital and other disruptions aside, saying that there are still many years in which these disruptions will literally get involved in our lives. But as the metaphor that I have shown to you on the screen, like the instruction that is shown in the side mirror of our car, these objects in the mirror are closer than they appear, and these disruptions are knocking our doors sooner than we are expecting. And therefore, this is the time where we prepare ourselves for the uncertainties and for the hurricane by standing in the eye of the storm. Now, what are these accelerators that are shaking and shaping the world? I'm sure you all know about industry revolutions. I 1.0, I 2.0, I 3.0, I 4.0, and today we are talking about I 5.0, meaning Industry 5.0, Human Cyber Physical Interface 2. So the short form for this is HCPS 2.0, in which the cyber physical interface is still working with human beings. So the verticals of Industry 4.0, Industry 5.0, related with everyone, even the vegetable vendor on the streets. These are the accelerators that are shaping their way of life in some or other way. So what are these verticals and what are these accelerators or disruptors? I would not want to use the negative connotation of disruptions, and therefore I am saying that these are accelerators. So what are these accelerators? Big data. Big data is something, in fact, when Mukesh Ambani ji launched the Geo, if you hold the font of Geo in front of the mirror image of Geo would read as oil. So in current world, data is oil. People who have the capacity to understand, curate, analyze, and then pass on with analysis the data would hold the key, even the students of English. And I'm so very glad that Professor Ramanathan showed to you some of the ways in which the data can be analyzed and presented to students in class. The second one is artificial intelligence. We all are, and particularly in English community, are talking about ChatGPT and other such bots like Siri, Cortana, Alexa, Google Assistant, and other bot literature. Artificial intelligence is here to stay. It is here to dominate the world. And therefore, it is in the interest of all of us put together to be in friendship with artificial intelligence rather than being concerned with artificial intelligence. There are many people like Cassandra who make us concerned that artificial intelligence would take your job. Partly, yes, but artificial intelligence would take the jobs only for those who do not use artificial intelligence. So if you are using artificial intelligence, then as per the term HCP, Human Cyber Physical Interface, you would still have the edge over others. The third disruption that we saw is remote working. Now, last month only, I met the alumni of my university in US. And surprisingly, in 2023, I saw many alumni of my university in US also working from home. So even when the post-COVID restrictions have been lifted, many workplaces have harnessed the potential of remote working. So this remote working is going to shape the way the students and teachers of English literature would find, survive, and thrive in a competitive world. Next is the entertainment industry. I exactly remember when the first multiplex came in Ahmedabad, and I went to see what a multiplex is like. There were multiple screens and all those multiplexes were full. Today we see, because of some or other factors, the cinema industry in theater is getting limited. And we have in our home Netflix, Amazon Prime, and other entertainment factors in our mobile phone with super fast internet speed. The very nature of entertainment is changing. There are particularly movies and web series that are only made for the people who can log in through their mobile or laptop and get the entertainment. So this is changing. Next accelerator is social media. And social media, by social media, I just don't mean WhatsApp or Facebook or Instagram. Even these are used positively for academic purpose. And I'm sure all of you out there would be doing that. But there are many, many other hidden resources that we are still to use in our classroom. And there are many, many resources that would still evolve over a period of time for us to leverage on. Next accelerator is cognitive computing. By cognitive computing, I mean the computers. Till now, we used to say that computers are very good. Even I used to give this example to my students in class by pointing at the ceiling pen, that the ceiling pen is more accurate than me. I commit a lot of errors when I count marks of my students manually because my mathematics is not good. But pen is very accurate. If you switch it on to 3 or 4 or 5, it would exactly do that work. But I used to tell my students that the warranty for that ceiling pen is maximum 5 years, whereas I am 51 and still going on. So we used to have that complacency that human beings cannot be taken over by computers because we have cognition, we have social intelligence. But with the advent of cognitive computing, even now with deep learning, with machine learning, computers are developing human emotions and they answer very, very intelligently. Just to give you one example, I was sitting in a car, just spending some time, and I tapped on my iWatch and I asked it, "Hey Siri, say something." And Siri immediately replied on my iWatch that, "Nigam, sometimes silence speaks volumes, isn't it?" I was taken aback by the answer that Siri gave to me because this would have not been asked by a person before me. Today, we see that artificial intelligence and computers, chatbots, bot literature are taking us by surprise. They even write poems. So with the advent of cognitive computing, those days are not very far when the toys or the books that our children would hold in their hand. In fact, we are doing a current research in my university on the future of children's literature and the cyber-physical interface. And we are finding more and more resources where through augmented reality, artificial intelligence, and robots, the children's literature would be transmitted to the children of future. And the parental role, unfortunately, would get minimized. The next accelerator is the demographic shift. Now today, Mr. Modi visited US and he talked about India as being the likely emerging economy. That is right, because India has a demographic dividend in terms of us being the young democracy. The median age of Indians is young. However, the point to be noted is with the advent of medical facilities and the life expectancy, these people are not going to die that easily. And therefore, all of us are going to grow old. So what has happened with Japan, what has happened with some of the developed countries is that economy is aging. Indian economy is still young, but this demographic shift is going to come in terms of who would be the main stakeholders of economy. Depending on that, the future career paths would evolve. Today, if you find a very good resource called seniority, now this seniority has come up with a radio set, almost like a radio set, which if you tune in, you can go on listening to songs of Kishore Kumar, Mohammad Rafi, Lata Mangeshkar, the nostalgia songs, because the senior citizens would want to hear that. They do not want to go to Ghana.com or some other technical devices that they cannot handle. So seniority is the new startup that is now focusing only on the products and services for the senior citizens. So likewise, as the demographic change would happen, we would be more and more tested to provide careers and to provide services to the changing demography. Now, what do we do with English? Because when I was a student, I'm sure some of you are more privileged than me. When I was a student, the only thing that I studied was poems, novels, essays, plays, etc. The genres of literature. Today, people study linguistics. Today, people study transdisciplinary, multidisciplinary courses also. But with English literature degree or English major, how do I see myself? My only sincere suggestion to you, all of you, is this. Even if you just do the basic sampling of your own family and relatives, you would find that their degree is something else and their current profession is something else. So they just used their degree to be smart, to be able to correlate, to be able to juxtapose things, and then they are using their experience and learning to thrive in altogether another domain. So when we are not sure of what careers are going to emerge, of which I would be talking to you very soon, what we are very sure of what skills would be in demand. If you just go to World Economic Forum's suggestions of the skills that would be required for the 21st century, they are mainly focusing on what are the skills that would help the human being to sustain among these accelerators by standing in the eye of a hurricane. First, interpersonal understanding and excellent communication. This is something that goes hand in hand with the students and teachers of English, because all of us are supposed to be very good in communication. The second one is multilingual ability. Now, most of us being in India, we are gifted to be multilingual. We know our languages, and we also have some basic understanding of foreign languages, and English is no longer a foreign language for us. So in the days to move forward, in addition to your knowledge of English, if you hold on to the skills in one or two other foreign languages also, your career spectrum would enhance. Just let me give you the example that even on LinkedIn, if you have your profile in English, you can also add your profile in French or German or Spanish. If you add that, then in all likelihood, people from those countries would be able to correlate with your skills and you would be able to network with them. So in the days to move forward, not just holding on the skills of speaking and writing in English, but other languages would be very important. The third one is problem-solving ability in a diverse group. Now, with remotopia, that is a new term coming, the remote working, distance working, where people are spread across the countries, there is a new career that is emerging that is known as cyber physical coach. The coach would be holding on to the software and also the workers working from remote area. So how do we find out the solutions to the complex global problems that are emerging, not just specific to a country? We being the student and teachers of English, naturally we have an edge because we study global literature. More than any other discipline, English people are gifted to study the global nuances, and therefore our understanding of global challenges is supposed to be better than others. Also, because we keep on studying the writings by a lot of people, and we keep on interacting with stakeholder group. In fact, there's a very good forum called Teachers Without Borders. It is known as TWB.com, teacherswithoutborders.com, where teachers from across the world are networking and sharing their challenges, assignments, and talks. So if we interact more and more with the global community, we would be able to be sharper in the problem solving ability. The spatial intelligence, what do I mean by spatial intelligence? By spatial intelligence, I mean the human beings are gifted with the ability to see larger picture. Now, English, luckily, is a discipline where we have some understanding of psychology, we study history of English literature, we study the political scenario of different countries. We also are acquainted with the economic changes, and therefore English is truly transdisciplinary subject. And therefore our spatial understanding of things are better than others. Transdisciplinary approach helps industry experience. Now, if you are a student of English, irrespective of what you study, we need to invest our time to actually work in the industry, workplace experience during summer or during vacation. This is something that we cannot avoid. During my time, it was all easy. We used to spend very quality time in vacation and were not worried about the career. But today, if you do not have industry experience to cement in your statement of purpose or in your CV, then you are monodimensional. The possibility is AI would filter you out even before calling you for an interview. And therefore, the 360-degree CV and visibility on LinkedIn is very, very important. If you are looking for a good career, your LinkedIn profile has to be very impressive. And your LinkedIn profile cannot be impressive if you do not have experience. And therefore, industry experience is very much required. International experience is also required. If you are not visiting the countries abroad, at least gain experience through MOOC. At least study the online courses offered by international universities in domains that are not necessarily English. And therefore, you would be able to broaden your perspective and experience, global experience. The research exposure is mandatory. We being the students of English, we are working on transdisciplinary research areas. And therefore, the more and more moving forward, our ability to analyze the data and present it would be very important. Advanced digital literacy is needed. And of course, street smartness is something that is helping us all together. Now, what are the careers that are emerging? These are unforeseen careers. I'm not focusing on the conventional career pathways that all of us know. When Dr. Tarun sent me the poster for this talk, I shared it on my social media, and immediately one comment came, and immediately that comment was deleted by the person who asked even before I answered. The person asked, immediately I was there on my phone and I saw what comment had come. The person had asked, don't talk about unconventional career, talk about jobs. Now, we in India have a fixation with jobs, and particularly government jobs. Now, if you are waiting for that, then best wishes. If you are top of the top lot, then you would get it. But otherwise, you also need to think about backup options. What are the backup options you have? In US or in other countries, it is very simple that you are aging, maybe you have 20 years of experience, and suddenly next day, your workplace would tell you that you are not wanted. And therefore, how do you shape for that change? How do you shape for that career change? These are some of the career opportunities that are evolving, not necessarily for English, but English people are more tuned to it. First one is being in the think tank. Now, we in India have a misconception that think tanks are reserved for public administration or international relations students only. No, it is not like that. Let's say, let us talk about a contagious issue of India-Pakistan trade relations. You would be surprised to know that on one hand, India is not willing to travel to Pakistan for Champions Trophy, and Pakistan is not willing to play the match in Ahmedabad Cricket Stadium. But at the same time, we have given Pakistan the MFN status for some of the produce that we want to export. So the trade relations between India and Pakistan cannot stop. Between India and China cannot stop. And therefore, we need to find out a cultural pathway that can bridge the gap. There's a very, very famous poem written by Robert Frost, in which the poet says, good fences make good neighbors. Of course, good fences make good neighbors, but it doesn't stop you from standing across the fence and smile at the neighbor and say hello. Now, this is what is taught to us in English. And therefore, these think tanks are the research institutes that seek to play a role in making and influencing regional, global, and national policy. Now, how do you thrive for that career? Start reading about societal issues. I'm not sure if you are a student of English, have you ever studied in detail the policy recommendations given by the Indian government for small and medium-sized enterprises or other such businesses? It is very, very important for us to know the economic change and the societal changes that are happening in our country, and therefore study the literary texts that discuss societal issues. Use your knowledge of global and local issues that sound similar to you. Join online discussion forums that allow you to participate in debate and discussion about the societal issues, and download the template of a white paper. White paper is a solution that is offered to government on the specific change. Keep writing 2 or 3 solutions to your specific region and show it to the experts. That will help you in a good state. Then the second one is digital rehab coach. Digital rehab coach, more and more parents are complaining to us, particularly the young children who are studying in schools, that their children are addicted to the social media, internet, and they don't put their mobile phone aside at all. Moving forward, 10 years from now or 5 years from now, these people would be in a lot of demand, because even we are addicted to the digital devices. So the digital rehab coaches study the digital habits of people. They do the analysis, big data analysis, think of activities that involve physical inputs, take people outside the home and university campuses, and reduce digital addiction gradually. Believe me, you would remember me 5 years down the line. This career would be very, very prominent. And all parents and all schools, in addition to career counseling people, they would be requiring the services of digital rehab coach. Event management is something that we all can do because we have interpersonal skill, planning, out-of-the-box thinking, creativity, and end-to-end facilitation. Digital education we are familiar with. Senior citizen caretaker. In fact, you all have seen the movie Dil Chahta Hai. People travel to Goa and they want to celebrate. Now, what about those parents who have invested their entire life in pushing their children to the next career level and their children have gone abroad? Now, these people have aged, they have money, they have time, but they do not have companions. In fact, in Oklahoma and Texas region, in the university dormitories, there are senior citizen homes. So the student in hostel would allow the senior citizen to stay with them, and those senior citizens would pay their fees. Now, this is happening parallel because people want company. And instead of spending time with the mobile devices, senior citizen caretaker and senior citizen travel companion career is going to emerge very, very prominently. Healthy parenting coach, because parents are working, they do not have time to understand the paradigm shift in the young generation. And who better than you, the young people over there on the other side of the screen, to understand your own challenges and your own complex issues. So these people develop an understanding of literature for children. They understand gaming industry, toys, working schedule of parents, and thereby solve the problems. Digital gaming industry. Now, there's a term called transmedia storytelling. This is associated with digital humanities. In fact, there's a very, very famous video game called Hello 2. Now, the promo of Hello 2 was shown for a split second. The website title of I love bees URL, just for a split second, it came on the television screen and just vanished. There were many inquisitive watchers who saw that in a split second and went to I Love Bees website. When they went to I Love Bees website, they saw the riddle. It appeared to them that the website is hacked, and the admin of the website sought their help. As they got into the process of solving that riddle, they were sent the video promotion of I Love Bees. About 5 million people participated in this. So the transmedia storytelling is, to give you the context in Indian scenario, when Chhota Bheem came, the television series Chhota Bheem animation, actually it came in television as an animation for children, but along with Chhota Bheem television, the comics, printed comics also came, the water bottles with Chhota Bheem picture came, the school bags with Chhota Bheem came, the book cover of Chhota Bheem came. So the toy industry thrived parallelly with the storytelling. In my time, it was He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. He-Man and the Masters of the Universe was shown on Sunday, and in interval, the toys of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe were shown. So we are now moving into the area where multiple players are creating stories, not just one. In fact, if you have heard about the very famous American novel Moby Dick, there is a portal called Emoji Dick. In Emoji Dick, if you transcribe one line, let's say the very famous line, "Call me Ismail" of Moby Dick, into total emojis, then you are funded with certain Australian dollars. So the multiple players are now transcribing Moby Dick through total emojis. The lyricist, in fact, we are sometimes ignoring what is visible, the elephant in the room. People of English with their creativity can contribute to jingles, commercial jingles, and write songs also. The image consultants and personal brand advisor, because English people are supposedly very smart in dressing and their etiquette and body language. So using your understanding of the global etiquettes and smart dressing trend, you can help a person develop the brand image. Sometimes you might be wondering where does Virat Kohli and Mr. Modi find time to tweet on so many current global issues. Their image consultants and personal brand managers are advising them for that. The relationship coach. Now people are getting puzzled about their social conjugal life also. And we being in the field of English literature, we have gained an understanding of the complex family issues, and therefore people can take this career also. The entertainment industry, now there's a new feature coming. In fact, we are thinking of introducing this subject in our university. It is called memology. We all know what memes are there, the famous Akshay Kumar meme or the very other famous memes that are being used. Now, memology is a very subtle way of promoting businesses for the industry and people who are very smart in finding out a relevant catchline. Look how Amul got popular in India. Amul baby with relevant topical posters, it gained immediately the eyeballs of people in India. And therefore, this is something that is of very important importance for all of us, because we can find a very relevant career here. The master of ceremony and anchor, we all are good speakers, and therefore this is a career for us. Podcasting. Now, podcasting is something that is now gaining prominence. So if you have a habit of regularly using the sophisticated devices for podcasting and inviting newsmakers and influencers on your channel, and also accommodating the questions and answers in your podcasting, then you can be a very influential person as influencer in podcasting. The new age author. Now, what do I mean by new age author? The new age author collaborates with artificial intelligence and other bot literature. I just will tell you some of the resources that are available. There is a website called poemgenerator.org.uk. I'll later on pass on to you in the chat also. Now, the website Poem Generator gives you the option to create haiku. you give this website the command and it gives you the haiku. There is also a site called sites.research.google/verse by verse. Now it shows you the names of American poets, and you give it any command, it will write the poem on that command in the style in which either Robert Frost would write or Wallace Stevens would write. So this is a participatory, collaborative literature making. Half of the literature is created by AI, and then you can supplement it with your own creation. In fact, very recently, a controversy came where a person published the book in 2 days with the help of ChatGPT. And the design cover was also printed with the help of ChatGPT. And he said, this is a collaborative work. Now, people today are asking ethical connotation, of ethical connotation. But moving forward, we might see this becoming more and more prominent. So new age author collaborates with artificial intelligence, may not be direct plagiarizing, but also in terms of design. The grant writer. Now, many non-profit organizations want funding, but they don't know how to write a proposal. So people of English with their technical skills and ability to write well, they can write a very persuasive proposals for people and thereby gain a career. And the last one is Remotopia. Now, Remotopia is the ability to help people working in remote environment. Now, people sometimes ask us, what are the proven careers for English major? People used to think that people in English do not have a career, but then there is a meme that which is posted by many departments across the world in English departments, that what can you do with your literature degree? You can become the Prime Minister of Canada, because Justin Trudeau's degree major was English. Now, just to give you some sort of assurance that you are in for a very illustrious career, Hugh Grant, who is a British actor and the filmmaker, had English major from New College, Oxford University. Paul Simon was an American songwriter and a singer, studied English major at Queen's College. Emma Watson, we all know her through Harry Potter and other movies. She was English major from Brown University. Steven Spielberg the Great studied at California State University. Judy Foster studied at Yale University. Sting, a very famous songwriter and a singer, studied at Northern Counties College. To talk about Indian context, Preeti Zinta, who is an actor and an IPL owner, studied English major at Delhi University. Ayushman Khurrana had double qualifications, English literature major and then master's in mass communication, studied at DAV College, Chandigarh. Then Jhumpa Lahiri also had the English literature major. Judy Megra, the former CEO of MTV, she also had English major. Toni Morrison and Arthur Miller we know because of English. RJ Renu is a very successful RJ who had studied English major at St. Teresa's College in Ernakulam. Sally Ride was the first female astronaut, and she studied English at Stanford University. Barkha Dutt, we all know, she studied at Delhi. And then Vikram, who is a very famous South movie actor, studied at Loyola College, Chennai. And then many others whom I might not have been able to cover. My point is, if you look at this picturesque table, you would be able to see they are not necessarily the teachers of English, teaching in English in universities. So they got that degree, they used their skill, they used the ability to go and thrive into altogether another industry. So there are many such career opportunities emerging for all of us. In fact, I'll just end my presentation with an alarming, but at the same time assuring, whatever way you want to take it. There's a very famous technology university called Georgia Tech in Atlanta in America. There's a professor of computer science. His name is Ashok Goel. Ashok Goel taught one online course to global students, and there were many TAs in that course of computer science. There was one TA, her name was Jill Watson. And when students would send assignments or ask questions as you are asking in chat, then Jill Watson would answer them very intelligently. At the end of the semester, the voting was done to check who would be the most popular TA. And students voted Jill Watson only to know that Jill Watson was not a human being, but she was an artificial intelligent agent. So this was the first time in academia that artificial intelligent agent coexisted with a physical teacher and assisted almost in a similar way. Now, those days are not very far where artificial intelligent agent would start teaching actually. And that's where we have a concern. In fact, currently people are criticizing deep fake videos. You can have your passport size photograph, upload in DID, and make your photo speak the way you speak, and you have an option of adding your voice also. Now, this is unethical as on date, but deep fake videos might be used positively also, where in the absence of parents or teachers, in the shape of a teacher, in the appearance of a teacher, the sessions would be taught by someone else. So we are in for a very interesting period. And if we have the ability to tolerate uncertainty, then we would be able to thrive. I always say it with a lot of pleasure that when people consider us to be slightly odd, remember that if you want to be number one, you need to be odd, because only number one can be odd. And therefore, I end my presentation by assuring you that if people laugh at you for exploring unforeseen career options, don't listen to them, because there are now getting startups being promoted, startups for funeral. So they do the end-to-end service for funeral. Now they are doing a very brisk business. In fact, the cow dung cakes are sold on Amazon. If you just go to Amazon and just type cow dung cakes are sold in US dollars. So it just requires an idea and a wherewithal to thrive in a career. Of course, the conventional careers are always open to us. I'm sure all of you with your good university teachers and mentors would be able to succeed. And maybe 10 years down the line, you would also be making this presentation to some online community about the careers that are emerging or are still to emerge. I thank the organizers to give me this opportunity. This is always close to my heart, because I like to think from the other side and like to think about the concerns that parents and teachers have, because ultimately we are in academia and the parents entrust their children to us thinking that their careers would take off. And therefore, it is very, very important for us, a stakeholder group, to understand what changes we are in for and how we can succeed. Thank you very much.